day all. I'm Epstein, and here we are on the first day of January, January 1st, 2024, and we're doing our weekend version of our Spider Stock ETF video. I decided to wait for today. The markets weren't open, wanted to get everybody's attention. A lot of traders will be going through things and saying, I'm not that interested in football, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The pro games aren't on, college, and they'll turn their attention back to the markets. Plus, we reopen the futures tonight. Market, so everything starts getting back to normal, and we're through with holidays unless you take off for Valentine's Day, which most of us don't. I mean, we'll get our normals, but we're through with that. So the hangovers are here. Hangover could be a lot of things, by the way. The hangover of 8 weeks in a row of rallies and stock indices, basically. Some of them higher highs every week for 8 weeks with no lower and low. Did the market get stretched? I think it did. Is the market getting a bit rich in price here? I would say it is. Will there be window dressing this week? There could be. Was there window dressing at the end of the year? For sure. Why? Because traders want to make portfolios look certain ways, tax adjustments at the end of the year. You make it, then within X period of time, sometimes 30 days if you want back into that same stock. There's different tax rules. You've got to look at them as to what you can and can't do to not get yourself into the way of a problem. But some people don't wait for the end of the year to do their tax selling and then buying back. They could have done it earlier, moved into things that they don't want to own anymore, and so on and so forth. All right, so always be aware that the very first week of trading, traders are just coming back from the new year. Some aren't back at all. They'll be gone until this weekend, and then they're returning. You'll see it on the local news. Here's the airport traffic, blah, blah, blah. Was it a year where the analysts got it right? No. It's a year where the market got it right. What do I mean by that? This was the year that all year we were told there'd be a big recession, watch out, the stock market's going to go down. How many of the top analysts, Morgan Stanley stands out for me, got it wrong most of the year? Definitely. How many of them were telling you, let's load in and buy bonds, this is it? Well, in the last 2 months of the year, those gains, absolutely. It depends what you were buying them for. The yield fell apart, but the bond itself value went up. Again, what were you locking in? How long are you going to hold it? Holding long duration, probably not the best thing. Short term, definitely. I know I was on for months telling people, how could you pass up a 5.5% return on a 6-month instrument? And I don't think I was wrong. However, how much did you rally in the stock market the past 2 months? And that's what it's always about. Generally, putting your money into interest rates and trying to get that return to beat the stock market is fool's play. The stock market historically outperforms that. So you've got to keep that in the back of your mind. The problem you have right now is the market has rallied for 2 months nonstop. Did it get ahead of itself? That's what we're going to find out. You're hearing about BYD. This now is the Chinese car manufacturer that has surpassed Tesla, is the largest now developing the cars. In other words, putting them out there and people are buying them. In the United States, we just dropped from, I think we had 43 cars, electric cars, eligible for the tax credit of $7,500 to 19 as of today, the first day of the year. Many of the popular cars have lost that, including the new Cybertruck, which I can't call popular. There's only a few on the road, but they're there. But you will see many, many popular cars are losing that. That's not good if you want to see a conversion in America and a quick shift to electric cars versus the classic engine. One of my favorite shows is Can Dig It, on TV. And that's Motor Trend. And when I watch it, Bitchin' Rides. And when I watch it, I happened to go in there a year ago. I love the place. If I were younger and buying cars, that'd be the guy I'd go to. But he just converted one of his CF1s. It's a 53, 54 Corvette model that he elongated and changed to an electric car. Fascinating to see, because I read in Europe how they're doing this. So it's coming, all right? But it's too expensive. And it makes no sense for most of us to buy an electric car. It's a cool thing, not a needed thing. A way better purchase all the way through has been a hybrid. And it's still nothing wrong with a regular gas guzzler because they don't guzzle the way you think. They're now 25, 30, 40 miles to the gallon. They're up there. And that is a problem for energy because every time you see that, no matter how much crude oil is a barrel, if you've got cars that are consuming less, and that's the big consumption factor, that it impacts price. But all I kept hearing is, buddy, how it's on fire. Does this chart look to you like it's on fire? When I put on the swing line, you've been in a downtrend. This market was a peak over $65. It went down to $50.38. It's finally coming alive. But that's a pretty good drop in this market. It's over 20%. And it's just coming off its lows. So things you always got to consider. Just because you're making more cars doesn't mean you're making money. China subsidizes a lot of these companies. When I hear the word subsidizes, it doesn't mean the company's making money. Where did you go down to? The 200-week average of closes. So to me, this is where the short's covered. The first challenge of a 200-week is how many years? It's a 4-year moving average. Think about it, 52 weeks a year. So it got down there. Where's the Bollinger Band? Right with it. If you've taken my enhanced Bollinger Band course, this is classic stuff. And this is where the pros, I think they began right where I'm pointing. They were covering there, and I think you ended up pulling everything right there. You're not embedded, game over. That doesn't mean you can't go lower, but the percentages are against you. Now, most likely, a bounce. Where's the resistance? We'll take a look at the 100-week average in green and the 18-week in red. That's what you're fighting with right here. When we look at Microsoft, consolidation, embedded reading, until the red line, 87.46 closes under 79. I think the pros are buying here, trying to get the market up to the 395 level. This is a company that is on most people's computers. Not everybody owns, and in fact, most people don't own a Mac or anything by Apple as their main computers in their office. Design firms, yes, but most of us own computers that use a Microsoft product. They're just starting with their Chat GT. I know we're starting to use it now. I saw that my IT department's already got it installed and they're using it on different things that we're doing. I'm not as versed as they are, but I like to see what they're doing. And boom, we're using it. So, could the market get up to 395.24? Yep, still in the bull camp until that red number closes under there. KRE, now these are the regional banks. Well, we know that they've gotten their respite. They've done well. There weren't as many mergers as I was thinking was going to happen given the banking crisis we had in 2023. They've come out of it in pretty good stead, but I do think they have big problems on the chart between right now, right here, up to the 100 and the 200-week average. This is powerful resistance up there. You're already at the band and you're not embedded. I think the pros are taking money off the table. In MCHI, this is China. Until they do something, it's hard to do anything other than want to be overall still in the bear camp. So the bias is down. You are oversold. You've hit the Bollinger Band and you didn't embed. I think the professional covered shorts. In XLI, I have been amazed all year as to how terrible the Empire State, the Richmond Fed, Chicago's PMIs, all of the PMIs are terrible. The industrial part has stunk, yet the market has run. What is that about? And by the way, this ran, it ran right with the stock market, 8 weeks in a row of higher highs, not a lower and low week, and into the Bollinger Band and not embedded. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. This guy would be hitting you in the ribs like that going, don't you think you should take some money off the table? In the energy sector, still bearish. Lower highs, lower lows. They've got their hands full. The world's using less gasoline. You can't argue that every single electric car worldwide that comes out doesn't consume gasoline. Hybrids don't consume as much. You live in a big city like Chicago, and you can get 40 miles out of your hybrid before you're using the gasoline. Well, you can go home and plug it in at night. You're not driving 40 miles on average. My wife and I look always, what are we driving? We live in the city. We have 2 cars. We put between the 2 cars probably 1,800 miles a year. And that includes going to her family in Indiana. Hybrids, if I had to buy a car today, and I don't, that would be it. You don't need new cars living in a big city. You give them to a valet, you get it back. The question is, where's your new ding? If you don't believe me, live in a big city like Chicago, New York. In fact, New York, nobody even drives, all right? It's smarter than Chicago. We need to get to that point. Tonight I'm going out to dinner. I'm Ubering. I'm not driving. Lower highs, lower lows. I'm looking at this number as important here in UUP for the dollar. And I have been the bear. Do you remember 2 weeks ago, I put out my special dollar report, 2 weeks ago Thursday, and I predicted a break of size. Gotten what I want. Okay, I was looking for a break in the year end there. GLD, I'm still bullish gold. Why? Because inflation is going to be sticky. I think the dollar stays in a downtrend. I think bounces will come, but I think it stays in an overall downtrend. And I think gold wins because it's got the headwind of not as high interest rates as we had, a weaker dollar, and as long as that maneuver stays in place, I think gold can go up to the old highs. Plus, it's got the war in Israel, Ukraine. We don't know what will happen between the Allies and Iran. We don't know if Russia decides they're going to go after Poland, and then we're all involved in another big event war. What about Taiwan? What about China? Are we sticking our nose in there? Are we going to be involved defending? Lots of variables, as there always are every year, but not bearish, not a headwind to gold, a tailwind. In the silver market, we're in a pause. The market just ran out of momentum when it hit the upper Bollinger Band, as did gold, and just went into a pause right here. Tesla, if I'm doing BYD, I want to show Tesla. This chart's stronger than BYD was, but it's not a screaming bullish chart. It's got a higher high and lower low in a market that's in overbought territory. Plus, you're losing, again, some of the incentive for Tesla cars. Not a good amount of their cars have lost their $7,500 incentive. So they're trying to figure out right now, everybody's filling out the papers to show what percentage of batteries are made in America. You've got to have, 60%, and got to go on, so forth and so on. But as of today, you lost approximately 24 vehicles. There were only 43 that qualified. You lost the vast majority of them that get you that tax credit. In Uber Technologies, which I've loved, be careful here. You've had this phenomenal run. If you get under 2 weeks ago's low, and if the red line gets under 79, you start a correction. Am I looking for corrections? I am. Am I betting on them? No. Do I think there'll be a bearish to trade from the short side? I do not. I think there'll be corrections, and they got to prove what they are. That's how I'm viewing the market. CCJ, this is uranium. I want to cover it. I think that uranium's time has come. I think that when we look at all the sources of energy, in Illinois, they just approved new nuclear plants. I think you'll see it in other areas. They don't have to be as big. They don't have to be in Japan, with hurricane-prone areas. But does it make sense going forward? Absolutely. Is it clean? Well, if the plant doesn't get a breakdown, we've had them in America, we had them in Russia, we had it in Japan, it happens. But if you don't, yes, it's a very safe way to go, and technology has improved since all those events. Google, one of my favorites, because of what? Obviously because of AI. However, would I ever tell a client in an overbought market to buy a Bollinger Band? Slap me across the face if that's what I do. So you put it together. By the way, that's the news that I look at sometimes. You put it together, and away you go. How do you handle this? Well, the one thing you want to do, and I mentioned it to you all year, and I'm going to repeat it. If you're trading any of the ETFs that are based gold, silver, the copper markets, the energy, you want to look at futures markets. They're based on futures contracts. Make sure you understand what you're doing, the news associated. We at Linn cover all the financial markets. So we're writing about everything. We're talking cash markets, contangos, backwardation. We're talking spread strategies without any of that taking place, and outright futures. How do you get our report so you can try it for yourself? It's 2 weeks free if you don't have an account with us of any type, no credit card, nothing needed. You move your cursor up to the very top. Right here, you'll see an icon, give it a click. You can go to iRepstein.com, free offers, and choose a number of them. Make sure you see what we get. Take a look, because you won't see this at other firms. I know it. Nobody's got the price count. We do. We created it at Linn. We don't share it with other firms. We don't give the formula out ever. You'll want to see those charts when they come out. Can you do them yourself? Absolutely, on our charting software at Linn. So the QT platform is the one if you want to try that. Talk to one of our brokers. They'll give you an absolute free trial to it, and away you can go. I'm Ira Epstein. You have yourself a wonderful evening. I will catch up with you in the morning financial market, the flash video news of the day, and we do have a few reports coming out tomorrow. And I'll see you the rest of the week with what we do. You have a great evening.